I'm Dan Fogarty, the Director of Content for Bridge. Alongside me is Ari Sepash, our Vice President of Data and Strategic Partnerships, and Greg Anastas, our Senior Vice President, Account Management. Before we dive into the current state of digital marketing metrics and where we see them going, I want to talk about Bridge. Our mission is simple. We solve marketers' most daunting challenge, which is finding their next customer. We've created custom profiles for every one of the more than 250 million verified real people in our platform, and we have insights that nobody else does. From this pool, we create custom audiences for our partners. And it's because we know where these people are most active that we can reach them anywhere. Facebook, email, desktop, mobile, radio, connected TV, anywhere. We start with real people, which is why we're here today and why our measurement is so good. We can tie back clearly and transparently to the campaigns that you run with us, and we can show you who actually bought a car from you, who visited your flower shop, or who subscribed to your magazine. We've run thousands of campaigns, and in the past year, we ran 70,000. And it's from these campaigns that we've gleaned a ton of useful insights about the state of digital marketing metrics that we want to share. And with that, I hand it over to Ari.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks for everyone for attending today. Why we're here today? We're really here to start to help define what people-based marketing actually means. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot. The metrics that actually matter is something we're going to focus on in relation to people-based marketing. Advertisers are used to measuring campaigns with traditional digital metrics like opens, clicks, and impressions, etc. What they should be asking is, did my campaign work? And what does that really mean? Did my ad get in front of the people I intended to get it in front of? Did those people interact and ultimately take an action to buy? And really, it's all good to have that information, but how we interpret them and how we learn from them going forward is really important. Can I learn from anything from this campaign to make my next campaign better? That could mean more efficient. That could mean a better audience. That could mean to scale the strategy up. So what is people-based marketing? It's not about knowing if a person fits just a persona. Today's ad climate demands that we know more about a person, not just what they look like or where they live, but how to and where to target them when those actual people are consuming different content online all the time. In order to really utilize people-based marketing, you need to feel confident that you have the right characteristics or the right data, and it's being collected in an ethically sourced way. Real people submitting their real information themselves is paramount. Then layering on other characteristics like where they like to consume media, what their preferred media channels, helps us and you know that you're actually reaching those people. Having a real 360-degree view of the actual person is what powers people-based marketing. Only a quarter of ad spend ever hits real people. This is a pretty shocking statistic. Actually, today, Group M came out with a statistic that only around 10% related to this is ad fraud. And we could talk about how ad fraud makes up of that fair share of ads not reaching people, but a lot of ads don't reach people because the content isn't relevant to them. In today's world, we could be flooded with ads. They're everywhere we look. Real people-based marketing helps you cut through that ad blindness and noise to serve only real people on their preferred channels, the ad that actually makes an impact on them. People-based reporting. The traditional metrics that I talked about earlier, that digital marketers use, like clicks, impressions, opens, they serve a purpose, but they really don't tell the whole story. It's important in today's digital ad economy for years that they've been using these metrics. At Bridge, we're trying to change that all up. Are these traditional metrics important? Of course, But the data we collect and the technology that enables us to collect it allows us to dive deeper and tell you more. Clear up that picture and answer that big question. Did my campaign work? If you don't have that base people, then you can't really do real PBM or people-based marketing. We have to be able to connect the dots, tie an action back to a real person in your audience. We're showing you your audience, what they look like, who we want the ad to be in front of. That's your total audience. That's what we're going to show you. Of these people, who actually saw the ad, who was exposed to it? Of the people that were exposed, who took an action, who engaged? And most importantly, the real big question that I'm going to come back to repeatedly, who took a buying action? Did they walk into your store? Did they click the buy now button on your website? If you can't answer these questions, your campaign truly isn't people-based. Partner with a company that can show you, not just tell you. I want to throw it to Greg now to take over how we at Bridge are showing you.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Dan. Hey, everybody, it's Greg. So open rates, CTRs, impressions, while they offer bits and pieces of the whole picture, none of these metrics actually tell you that a real person saw your message, engaged with it, bought your product. Campaign reporting, we believe, should be simple, straightforward, intuitive, and most importantly, useful, actionable. Not just numbers on a screen that you can't do much with. So we're going to try to change all that. We're introducing our new visual reporting dashboard that displays people-based metrics that actually mean something. So remember, this isn't replacing traditional metrics, but rather it's dragging that data, kicking and screaming into the future. For you baseball fans out there, think sabermetrics, think wins above replacement player, OPS, and so on. It's building on existing metrics. So you're still going to have access to all the existing traditional numbers that you're used to seeing, but in a different table on another tab. So let's talk about how people-based reporting platform differentiates from traditional metrics. So for the first time ever, this one screen presents a unified multi-channel campaign performance report. Regardless of the channels used, it's working across email, display, social. You won't have to lay out your email campaign data alongside the display and social campaign data to guess at whether or not your overall campaign worked or not. It's all in one number. And because it's people-based, you can compare the attributes we use to build your original audience and then watch how those attributes change as the audience becomes exposed and ultimately engaged with your client's message. On top of all that, we're actually able to add foot traffic attribution solution to this platform as well. That's for the campaigns that present a well-rounded multi-channel approach. So it's real people we can identify, not just numbers on a screen. Simple and easy to read, useful results. So let's zoom into the system here a little bit more and see what this report has. As you can see, it has 4 sections of data. Audience, so that's the total number of people we originally targeted as we built a customized audience between us and you. The number exposed, it's the total number of people we exposed your message to and reached. These are the people that actually saw your message. And then engaged. That's the number of people who actually took an initial action after seeing your message and completed your call to action. And so again, these are 3 major sections that today, for an email, display, social campaign, you're seeing 3 different sets of numbers between opens and CTRs and who knows what. It's all tabulated here in one basic set of data. And the cool stuff here is it's across these top 3 sections. We break down the results into the main attributes that encompass something like 80% of all of our campaigns. As you can see in the pie charts and in the bar charts, we have gender, age, household income, and of course, geographic. And the cool thing is you can see the marketer's journey, similar to like a consumer journey. The marketer's journey as the audience attributes change from the audience to exposed, and then finally to engaged. And then lastly, the final section, foot traffic. We track the total number of people in our audience who actually visited your client's store using our FTA solution. We're showing you the visit rate percentage against the audience, the raw number in the audience who visited, and then something we think might be a little mind-blowing for your clients, what we're calling additional opportunities. Mind-blowing doesn't just sound the same. So additional opportunities, or the total number of people in our database who visited the client's location, but were not in the original targeted audience. Just think what you could do with that kind of data set. And then of course, along the top nav, you see some search bars that allow you to filter the results by the advertiser, the order ID, the campaign name, and the date range. So here's an example of what we did for an auto group in Michigan using these principles. We built them a customized audience, of course, of real people. We ran a multi-channel campaign that reached those real people. We learned from the data, delivered a powerful message, or delivered powerful reporting that allowed the campaign to iterate and learn over time. We also identified people who had been to the lot, but who the auto dealer had yet to think of targeting. So we're able to compound the sales with messages to that group as well. Ran the campaign for about a month and a half, and in that time, we identified over 500 leads and attributed more than 100 or 150 sales to our efforts. So, okay, at this point, you might be thinking, Greg and Ari, this is great. Why should I care? It's really kind of boiling down to 4 big things. So it's real people, of course. You've heard us say it repeatedly. That's because it's important. We're showing you the results of real people, not just numbers on a screen. Transparent data. Simple, and I don't think we've talked enough about how simple this all is. No one has the time to pore over all the various data points of all the campaigns you manage. I'm grateful you guys made the time to join us for 15 minutes on this webinar. We constantly hear from clients, just tell me if it worked or not. Here you go. This one metric combines all the various channels of a campaign into a single metric to see if the campaign worked or not, regardless of the channel. Audience optimization, so think about like we talked about, the marketer's journey. Watch as the audience attributes change from the originally built audience to the exposed and finally to the engaged. Think about how you can build your next campaign. And then, of course, think about your clients, think about maximizing your client's return on ad spend. Think of the campaign performance numbers we could generate with optimized audience. If you can show your client that you're constantly refining your audience and your approach and making the most of their dollars and the audience we're building, your clients will keep coming back for more. And with that, I turn it back to Dan.
Hey guys, so we've been fielding some questions here. You're allowed to pose them to us, and we've had some come in. And of course, if you ask a question and we don't get around to answering it, we're going to do our best to answer it after the fact. So feel free, even now, if you've got a question, to log it in there. So the first one that we've got is it's a pretty basic one, but it's a good one. Why hasn't anybody else done this yet? Why hasn't anyone focused on people in this way?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I think it's a good question. It's almost an obvious question. I think that there's 2 main reasons why, in no particular order. The first is not everyone has access to this type of data, right? This is not data that is easy to collect, right? And companies that have it, companies that have real people data use it in different ways. I think we are unique in the sense that we're trying to build audiences and reach them and attribute success to them. And having the real people at all 3 of those steps, sort of a 1, 2, 3, we do everything in those steps. The data allows us to populate reporting like this and to give insights around optimization and actually reaching real people. I think the second reason is people are comfortable. Yeah. Right. I think that agencies and even marketers are very comfortable in a metric like click-through rate. That it used to be the only way to measure, and I think that sort of with the advent of different collection methodologies and technology and even privacy has allowed companies like us to be out front and to try and change the way people think about campaign performance.
I mean, when you look at the Lumascape, it's massive, right? There are so many different iterations, so many pathways of how campaigns operate. And people, as Ari said, people are very comfortable with straight up CTR, even though CTR is an imperfect metric. We all know it's an imperfect metric, and why nobody has stepped forward to do those sorts of things. Like Ari said, a lot of people don't have the data to kind of combat this like we do from a people-based standpoint.
So I guess that feeds into the the next question we've got is, Greg, why do you think that digital marketing is so reliant on some of these old metrics?
Again, I go back to my last point about the Lumascape and all the various stops along the way of how a campaign operates. People have to respond back to a client, who then have to respond back to a brand, and a lot of people have become sort of comfortable and safe with the basic metrics. We're presenting a different option because it's ultimately the better option, and it's the more analytical option. And given that it's 2019, the fact that it hasn't happened to date is kind of actually shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So in looking at this, we got a great question that just popped up here. Haven't you just changed the names of the metrics? Using the term exposed for reached and engaged for clicked. How are your metrics different? This is a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for asking it. I think the first thing I want to say is we didn't just change the names, right? I think that, yes, I think there's a logical sort of comparison to how you're bringing the question to the floor, question asker. But really the biggest difference is that we actually have the people to actually back up those categories, right? So not only do we have those people, but we use what we know about that individual. And it's not just a persona, right? It's not just a segment of 18 to 24-year-old females.
Right.
It is those people. And we're able to not only show you what they look like, that these people are, say, 18 to 24-year-old female, but we're able to go deeper in those metrics. Right, and actually able to tell you potentially things you didn't know about those people that really could help future campaign work. It's a great question, and thanks for asking it.
Great. Just reviewing some questions now. So, if a campaign with multiple ads and assets. In a campaign with multiple ads and assets, can we show a breakdown by ad of these results?
Absolutely. Great question. So as you saw a couple slides back on the screen itself, you could filter for an individual campaign or combine 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 campaigns into a single result. And so what ends up happening, it's a true cross-channel metric, right? You can look at an individual ad group. You can look at an individual channel if you so choose, but the goal of this is really to present that multi-channel approach. But great question. And actually goes right into the value prop of the whole system.
Awesome. Another great question. Are you able to absorb offline data like direct mail lists along with your digital campaigns and look at it from one lens?
That's a great question. And a lot of our clients today are coming from sort of the world of direct mail or the data that they've targeted for years is offline data, which we define as potentially a mailing list, right? Name and postal. I think one of the amazing parts of a platform like this is that it can activate those same people across digital channels.
Right.
So to answer your question directly, absolutely yes, we can ingest offline data, activate and find those same people in the digital world where they prefer to be targeted or where they are consuming most of their media digitally. And on top of it, we can actually model out what those people look like and tell you how many more people potentially look like that audience, to expand your list for audience extension.
Yep. A lot of really good questions.
All right, guys, we got time for one more question. Who's your ideal client, and what's the minimal or ideal length or budget for a campaign together?
So, I mean, admittedly, this sounds like too much of a salesy answer, but there is no campaign or client that is too small or too large. I would actually even say that the smaller campaigns could benefit with this level of information, because you probably haven't seen this level of information in the past, versus like $100,000 campaign where there are a lot of different inputs and there are a lot of different reporter sets against it. This obviously will help the $100,000 campaign, but those SMBs, we could see a lot of benefit in that as well.
Awesome. All right, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Before you leave, we're going to close with a 90-second video highlighting how we deliver your message to real people and get real results. One last note, everybody's going to get an email with the presentation and the video. And again, thank you for joining us.
If you're a marketer, there's a question that keeps you up at night. How do I make sure I'm talking to real people? See, digital marketing was supposed to change things. It was supposed to give marketers complete control over how they engage with target audiences. But a funny thing happened on the way to Digitopia. Bots started popping up. So did click farms. Pretty soon, marketers had no idea if their messages were hitting the right people. They didn't even know if their messages were being shown to their target customer on Main Street or a bot from the dark edges of the internet. This isn't good. Marketers need a way to trust and verify that their messages are hitting the real people they're targeting, not some faceless cookie or a bot somewhere. Enter Bridge. We know people. Our people are real, with real names and addresses, meaning your messages are hitting real, verified people every single time. That's the definition of people-based marketing. Bot-based marketing? Bad. People-based marketing? Good. A data partner is only as good as their audience data, and ours is the best. The data on our audience is ethically sourced with permission for marketing, meaning we ask permission, and it meets the highest privacy and security standards. It's also updated 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So the next time you're up at night worrying if your message is hitting the real people you want it to, don't sweat. Bridge's people-based marketing will make sure that it does. Real people will see your ad. You'll get real results. And then, hopefully, you can get a good night's sleep. If you're ready to reach the real people you're targeting and see immediate results, connect with Bridge today.